Welcome back to Hacking D&I, Conversations in Diversity and Inclusion. I'm Elizabeth Lane.
And I'm Denise Hummel.
Many of you are in a position of believing that diversity and inclusion work done from a strategic perspective can transform talent, culture, and risk within your organizations. Unfortunately, many of you are also seeing that your organization either is not approaching diversity and inclusion from a strategic perspective or isn't achieving the progress that it should be. Today we'll be talking about 3 key factors that are benefits of diversity and inclusion with Denise Hummel. Denise,
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, nice to be here.
What is the first business benefit of approaching diversity and inclusion from a strategic perspective?
Well, I mean, diversity, of course, is important to have a good mix of people in terms of diverse thoughts, diverse thought leadership, of course. But it's the inclusion piece of that really factors into the business results. So, for example, the first business result that comes to mind in terms of a potential benefit is productivity, team productivity. If you have diverse teams, for example, but not inclusive teams, productivity actually goes down. It's the lowest rated. So you don't want a diverse team without inclusion. But if you have a diverse team so that you have all this diverse ideation going and you have the inclusion, that's where you're going to get your increases in productivity.
Okay, so productivity, and then I assume that comes from some increased employee engagement. Is that true?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And you hit on the second most important one, which is that you do see increases in employee engagement the more inclusive an organization is. And it's absolutely measurable, right? Because most companies do have some sort of an employee engagement survey. And so clearly they can look at that baseline before they initiate their diversity and inclusion strategy and initiatives, and then compare it to how they're doing progressively as they move along.
And that ties into a lot of the work that we do with our assessments and measurements. We're all about measuring how inclusion actually impacts the company.
Right, so because what's the point if we're not actually impacting the bottom line in some way?
And that ties to innovation, right? A lot of our clients are working in tech and life science, and so how does inclusion impact innovation?
Well, we touched upon it a little bit before in the sense that the more diversity, the more diverse ideation, which is the very beginning of the process in terms of design thinking, in terms of actually innovating. And after that, the inclusion piece of that's the empowerment piece, right? So the more included individuals on the team feel, the more likely they are to actually share that diverse ideation, knowing that they are being led by a leader who knows how to lead inclusively and who knows what kinds of statements and interaction is actually going to empower that individual to give more of themselves. And innovation can be measured in so many different ways as well. I mean, experts will talk about balanced scorecard, and so for those of you who are really into the innovation space, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But there's also the rate and quality of innovation. There's number of patents. So there's lots of ways to put in baselines related to innovation to measure are your diversity and inclusion initiatives actually providing the impact that you think they are in terms of innovation.
That's great, thank you. This has been a great conversation. We've learned that some of the main business impacts of inclusion are productivity, employee engagement, and improvement in innovation. Check out our webinar on how inclusion can make your business transform from productivity to engagement to innovation and more.
I'm looking forward to it.